Trimble's going for their third straight TVC hockey title, but the Hama White Falcons are looking to knock them off. Also, for Fan of the Week, we have Maysville against the Sheridan Generals, and in our Game of the Week, the Meigs Marauders are hosting the Nelsonville York Buckeyes. And it's all up next on Gridiron Glory! It's time to kick off Week 6, and we've got a lot of ground to cover. I'm your host, Justin Holbrook. It's October, which means we're in the final month of the regular season. But winning this month will ensure that this isn't the last month of the 2015 season for some teams. Tonight, we got to look at 5 teams that have a shot at the playoffs, while the others were looking to play spoiler. And Amanda Clear Creek and Fairfield Union enter tonight with only one thing on their mind, a win. Now joining me on the desk is our very own Carter Eckel, and you were at that game tonight, Carter.
And Justin, you know, both teams were not only looking for a win, but they were looking to put points on the board. And it was a barn burner out there in the rain on the Falcons' homecoming night, but no weather would dampen their spirits. And so Fairfield Union would get started off with trying to get hyped in the huddle and trying to stay warm. It would be the Aces who would start with the ball, though. Jordan Leisure, 24 yards to the outside, but that's as far as Amanda Clear Creek would get on their opening drive. They would turn it over on downs. They would get the ball back. Braden Neff trying to go to the air. Finds Jacob Figgins on the other team, intercepted. He would take it down to the Aces 40, setting up the Falcons' triple threat backfield attack. Here's name number 1, Nick Schultz, 29 yards for 6. 6-0 Falcons. After that score, they would miss the extra point, but it wouldn't matter as the Falcons would get the ball back. Here's name number 2 of that triple threat backfield, Will Young. 53 yards down the left hash mark. That would put the Falcons up 13-0. They would combine for 280 yards rushing on the night, but the Aces weren't out of it yet. Jordan Leisure, Gridiron Glory Player of the Year candidate for good reason. 64 yards down the outside to the end zone would bring the Aces within a score. Now here's where things get interesting, Justin. 4th and 18 late in the third quarter. Aces trying to pin the Falcons deep. They would drop the punt on the snap. Punter's running, trying to pick up the first down. He would fight his way through a bunch of different blockers, reach out, but that's as close as they would get to the first down, and that's as close as the Aces would get on the night. They would fall 13-6.
Well, Fairfield Union, they've had a tough start to the season offensively. How did they fare tonight?
Well, the Falcons' triple threat backfield gave the Aces fits as Fairfield Union was able to rush for almost 280 yards on the ground. Braden Heston, Nick Schultz, and Will Young paved the way for the Falcons as all 3 backs were able to make significant contributions. The O-line also paved the way as Braden Heston powered his way for 122 yards on the ground, while Nick Schultz and Will Young each added a touchdown of their own following their big plays. After a scoreless first quarter, the Falcons' backfield was able to open up those muddy running lanes early in the second quarter. I know we're talking about offense, but the Falcons are now 3-3 while averaging less than 10 points per game. Justin, that has to say something about that stubborn Falcon defense.
Well, since you brought it up, what stood out about that Falcon defense?
The ability to shut down the Aces' explosive backfield. Fairfield Union limited the big plays, allowing Jordan Leisure to break free for that 64-yard touchdown run. They stuffed the Aces on a couple of different 4th downs, forcing a few turnover on downs backed up against their own red zone. If they can keep up this defensive intensity, they may have a shot at topping Hamilton Township next week.
So there are a lot of turnovers between the 2 teams, but was it the weather or just sloppy play?
Well, Justin, I'd like to blame the weather. It was a factor, but both teams have become notorious for coughing up the football. The muddy playing field didn't help, but holding onto the football will be a big priority in game planning come Monday.
So we touched on Fairfield Union and their defense, but Amanda Clear Creek had their fair share of opportunities.
Justin, the Aces put themselves in prime real estate, getting the ball on a couple different occasions near the 50-yard line. However, turnovers drastically hurt Amanda Clear Creek as an interception led to the Falcons' first score.
Well, that was definitely a big win for Fairfield Union. As always, thanks for the great work, Carter. Now, if you follow us on social media, Glory doesn't have to end on Friday nights. Over on Twitter, you can find score updates, conference breakdowns, and previews for the upcoming games that we'll be at. And that's not the only place where content is going up. Throughout the week, we're posting power rankings and much more on Facebook, so be sure to give a like to Gridiron Glory. Later in the show, I'll be bringing you our 2 Snapchats of the week, and before that, we'll have our online host Andrew Homan on to reveal the best tweets from this week. Last week, Jackson lost their first game since Week 7 of the 2013 season. But since that day, the Warren Warriors have only won 2 games, compared to 17 Jackson victories. And Danny Dean joins me now. And Danny, the odds were definitely stacked against Warren tonight.
Oh, Justin, it's more than fair to say that. I mean, this game was basically destined from the get-go. And just to put it into a little more perspective than you, Warren has only scored 13 points this season, and that's compared to the Ironmen's 187 points after this game tonight. Now, it was Mud City in the SEOAL matchup, but that field wasn't the only thing looking messy tonight. It was homecoming for Warren, and they ran out with a shield and a sword to fend that turf, but it would not hold up against some iron. Warren fumbled twice on their first drive of the game, and of course there was good old Hunter Sexton. He was there to recover it, and that ended up leading to a 30-yard Johnny Farley touchdown, and there Jackson goes. They're up by 7 2 minutes in, and almost every time Jackson found a gap, they were gone. They were kicking up mud in their tracks. In the final score of this game, it was 41-0 Jackson. But you know, the first half was not as dominant for the Ironmen. I mean, the Warriors, they started pushing back. In that rain, it was bad for those uniforms, but Justin, it did not stop Warren from getting those big tackles.
But how about Warren? Did they improve on defense tonight, Danny?
Oh, definitely. I could tell those Warriors were practicing to take down that Jackson ground game. We saw Jake Davis, Justice Johnson, and Cameron Korsner. They stuffed Sexton and his running backs, and don't get me wrong, Johnny Farley and Blake McCoy, they tromped around that field, but Warren's defense, they held their own. Now, Justin, I want to step away from football for just a second. It was announced at the game that a member of Warren's band was injured in an accident, so from the Gridiron family to Warren, we wish him all the best.
Well, we're definitely thinking about him, as always, Danny. Thanks for the great work. And before tonight, I had never been out to an MVL game, but the fans of the Sheridan Generals made sure they represented the conference and their team when I was out there for Fan of the Week.
So I'm out here with all of these crazy Sheridan fans, and they're trying to cheer on the Generals to beat Maysville tonight. Let's hear it, guys. First off, I'm going to need to have someone to throw a route to, so I need a wide receiver. All right, guys, what's going to be the score tonight? Because you are just one game behind Maysville. It's an important game.
80-0.
80-0.
Go Generals! Go Generals!
Go Maysville!
So I'm out here with Josh, and it may be 50 degrees and raining, but he is definitely Sheridan's biggest fan, and he is our next Fan of the Week.
Yeah.
It took 3 overtimes for Maysville to outlast Sheridan 27-24 last season in one of the best MVL games of the year. Now we go out to Sheridan High School where Nathan Wiseman is live. Nathan, both teams are riding some momentum heading into this one, and Maysville was undefeated and Sheridan had 2 consecutive wins going into this.
Yeah, that's right, Justin. And then last year, as you might remember, Sheridan lost a heartbreaking triple overtime game to Maysville last year, but you can tell that they were really excited for a chance to knock them out this year. And they got that chance at their home turf tonight. And all eyes were on Chase Roberts, of course, in this one. And Sheridan was determined to put an end to all of his dominant play and big plays tonight. Here, stopping him from a run down the middle. Now, this was a defensive battle, but tonight, around 5 minutes left in the first quarter, Trevor Davison breaks through that line, breaks loose for 19 yards, putting Sheridan up 7-0 in this one, but it wouldn't go all well. Dylan Dupler's pass intercepted by Carson Jarrett. He takes that one all the way to the 18-yard line, gets a nice block from one of his teammates, all the way down to the 18, and after Johnny Runkle got injured, it was Clay Mercer who stepped up for Maysville. This time he gets in the end zone. 7-6 now, but the extra point is blocked. That would be huge for this game. And another big play. Chase Himmelsbaugh, he fumbles the ball in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left. So Sheridan gets the ball there. Derek Gross continuing to churn out yards with minutes remaining in the fourth, and it's panic time for Maysville. So Sheridan going to Derek Gross yet again, shaking a defender, shaking 2, 3, 4, barreling his way through this Maysville defense in the middle, and there they'll go to him again, this time on a pass, just trying to get into the end zone. He wouldn't go, but it's okay because on the next play, Dylan Dupler finds his way in for a 1-yard touchdown, putting Sheridan up 14-6. Could it be true? Could they pull off the ultimate upset? And yes, Chase Roberts, he fumbles the ball on a 3rd down with around 50 seconds left and no timeouts, and Sheridan does it. They take down the undefeated Maysville Panthers 14-6 in their home turf. Order was restored tonight. Chase Roberts, like I mentioned earlier, he's had a great season so far, but tonight, 11 carries, 21 yards. Completely different from what we're used to seeing him do in this Sheridan defense. I mean, they completely locked down tonight.
So Maysville's running game has carried the team this whole year, but where was that tonight, Nathan?
Well, truthfully, I don't know. I mean, I talked to Paul Culver earlier this week, and I asked him about how he's going to contain Chase Roberts, and he told me, well, I don't form a game plan around one certain guy. I know where he's going to be. I know what he can do, but I can't just form a game plan around one guy. But I think he had something up his sleeve tonight for sure, because they completely shut him down. Usually when Chase Roberts cuts to the outside, he's gone for 6. No one can tackle him. But tonight, they were right there, ready to take him down. So they gave the ball to Chase Himmelsfall to try to go down the middle. That wasn't working. They tried passing a little bit. That wasn't working. Clay Mercer got that 1 touchdown for him, but in the end, just so many mistakes, and Sheridan was just completely taking Chase Roberts out of the game.
So they had a great defense tonight as well, Sheridan did, but their special teams was also huge. How big were they tonight? Real quick, Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, their special teams came up huge, Justin. They had that blocked extra point, which was huge because it was 7-6 for the longest time until the 4th quarter, so it kept Maysville right on their heels. But also, they pinned him deep, not just once, but twice. They had him down in the 5-yard line, so their special teams came up big, and Coach Clark told me that earlier in the week, so it was no surprise for Maysville.
Like you said, a huge win for Sheridan, and also, tonight, the Maysville Marauders were out to prove why they share a top spot in the TVC Ohio. But for the Nelsonville York Buckeyes, they wanted to show that they are better than their 1-4 record. And both had their chance against each other in our game of the week. We often hear coaches and players that go all out on the gridiron, but we aren't typically talking or aware about one group working together on the sidelines. Blaine Caraher joins me now. And Blaine, I understand the Jackson Ironmen have a pretty special group.
Oh, exactly. And that special group is the Jackson Chain Gang, Justin. And I was able to meet with them during the Ironmen's matchup against Wheelersburg. To them, it's more than just a game time job. Running up and down the sidelines is a tradition.
It's calm as the game lights flicker on in Jackson, Ohio. Kettle corn pops. The Ironmen get their game face on, and the Chain Gang prepares. Come rain or shine, Ironman fans have seen this particular crew for a while. Dusty Sexton, Butch Cooper, Brian Moore, and Hank McClurg. Hank just celebrated his 80th birthday a few weeks ago.
I don't feel old. I'm young.
Hank manages to keep up with his fellow chain movers. He has worked the chains for nearly 36 years. Hank joined Jackson quarterback Hunter Sexton's grandpa Paul and his brother Gary, who had already been on the chain gang. Paul's son Dusty and nephew Butch then took over.
We get a perspective that nobody else gets. You get right down on the sideline, you get to hear the players talk and what's going on, see it, and it's just great to be that close to them and get to watch our kids do it like our fathers did for us, and hopefully someday pass it on to them if they want.
Butch Cooper says everyone, not just his family, have pride in Ironman football.
We played here, we love and live and die Jackson football.
Brian Moore doesn't even have a kid on the Ironman, but the Chain Gang still extended the invitation.
Now they had to keep me calm. They've kind of read me the right act a couple times, because you're not supposed to really root for Jackson, Bill, got a hug from Billy and Hunter. Oh, yeah. What you got, bud? Huh? What you got?
Oh, I think Jackson will beat 4 down.
Whoa, Hank, you wouldn't lie to me, would you?
Come 4th down and Friday night, there's no place the Jackson Chain Gang would rather be.
You get to feel like you're part of the game by running the chains.
Everybody here just has a sense of pride in Ironman football.
I love football. That's my favorite sport.
We always say it's Christmas in the fall because we can't wait. When it's over, we can't wait for the next season.
All right, so get this, everyone. That 80-year-old man that we just saw there, Hank McClurg, he actually didn't go to Jackson High School, but he did play for the last Oak Hill football team to ever beat the Ironmen back in the early 50s.
Wow, well, he's definitely an Ironman now. Thanks a lot, Blaine. And with a win over Miller last week, Trimble sits in the driver's seat of the TVC Hawking. Anthony Alaco stopped by to see if Hama could knock them off and see if Trimble could move forward in the conference.
Well, having beat the second and third ranked teams in the conference, Trimble had a bit easier of a time this week against the struggling Hama White Falcons. The White Falcons got hit with a tough Tomcat team who proved the one loss on their schedule was no more than a fluke. After going down in the first half last week, the impact Justice Jenkins would have was kind of in question, but both teams would trade 3 and outs before Jenkins takes a slick 60-yard carry, getting pushed out at the 12. He finishes that drive with a 1-yard touchdown. Cameron Curry on their next possession is going to take a 45-yard touchdown from Andrew Losey, putting Trimble up 14-0. Jacob Nutter is going to take a jet sweep from his man Philip Hoffman, get into trouble, and dump it off to Dalton Kearns. That's going to be Hama's first down of the game. They use the fake jet sweep later on in this drive and go on with Bryson Gate, and their effort is going to be evident here as Ricky Kearns is going to chase him all the way down and save 6 Hama points. Leading 20-8 halfway through the second quarter, Jenkins finds a seam, makes a backdoor cut, and finishes the drive with a 23-yard touchdown. I mentioned earlier that Hama might come back to that jet sweep pass, but the Tomcat defense was ready this time and are able to shut it down. With 39 seconds left to go in the first half, Hama is going to be forced to punt. Cameron Curry is going to channel his inner Devin Hester, and he's going to catch it on the bounce, take off running for nearly a 50-yard touchdown, and Trimble would go up 33-8, and they would cruise to a 46-14 victory.
Now, starting with a 3 and out isn't like the Tomcats that we're used to seeing. What did it take to get Justice Jenkins going?
Well, obviously the weather wasn't ideal, so Hama knew the Tomcats were going to stick to the ground. With Hama stacking the box, Trimble needed to hit the perimeter and keep the White Falcons honest. Runs outside of B-cap were somewhat effective, but the Tomcats wanted more. Bubble screens on the outside to Cameron Curry were the answer the Tomcats needed. The safeties, as well as outside linebackers on Hama, had to respect this action. Curry often ran the same route, even when he wasn't getting the ball. That caused linebackers to be a couple steps slow in run support. That's all the time Justice Jenkins would need to make the necessary cuts.
Now, Trimble did a good job of adjusting on offense, but how well did the White Falcons make some changes of their own game plan?
Well, the White Falcons faced a tough Tomcat defense with a clever strategy. The White Falcons understood they weren't going to be able to beat Trimble head on, so they used a lot of motion with wide receivers across the formation, trying to confuse the Tomcats. Trimble gave up the big play early on against this motion, but were able to settle down and focus on their assignments. Give the coaching staff a lot of credit. They made the necessary adjustments that ultimately led to Justice Jenkins with 279 yards and 5 total touchdowns. This 46-14 win keeps the Trimble train rolling through the second half of the season.
Well, it's another huge win for Trimble, and now they're definitely the team to beat in the TVC Hawking. Now, the first half of the season has been one to forget for the Federal Hawking Lancers. Tonight, they took on Southern, who was looking to improve to 500 on the year. And Joseph, you were out in Stewart for this game tonight.
Yeah, that's right. You know, once the rain let up in the second quarter, that's when Southern just absolutely exploded. They scored 3 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of the first half. It all started with a 38-yard run by Riley Roush, which put Southern inside the 5-yard line. He would then score on the next play to give them a 7-0 lead, and that's when Southern started to take advantage of the rain's absence, as they started to throw the ball around a lot more. Quick hitters and short pass plays helped the Tornadoes work their way up the field and finish off drives finally in the end zone. This resulted in quarterback Blake Johnson getting himself into a rhythm. He went 5 of 7 for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns just in the first half. But honestly, it was Riley Roush that really just took over this game for the Tornadoes. He picked off a pass with less than 20 seconds left in the first half, which led to a touchdown, giving Southern an advantage going into the locker room with a 21-0 lead. Then at the start of the third quarter, he takes the opening kickoff 75 yards to the house, and he wasn't done yet. His next touch was a 40-yard touchdown run, giving Southern a 34-0 lead. His performance tonight really broke the game wide open, and it really helped Southern win this one 48-0.
Well, now we know what Southern did right, Joseph, but what did Fedhawk do wrong?
Well, Justin, they really just had no offensive rhythm out there. They could not establish the run game whatsoever, and they were forced to try and air it out. Quarterback A.J. Cobb was flushed out of the pocket a lot tonight, and he couldn't find any open receivers downfield. He was forced to throw the ball away a lot or scramble for just minimal yardage. And when he finally did pull the trigger, the ball just found its way into the hands of the Tornado secondary one way or another. Whether it be an interception or deflection, it was really just a rough night out there for Cobb and the entire Lancer offense. Cobb ended up coming out of the game at the 8:23 mark in the third quarter due to a headache. He's really the most athletic and versatile player on the team. And if they want to notch a few W's in their win column, they're really just going to have to find other ways to utilize their quarterback.
And Joseph, that was a big win for Southern, another loss for Fed Hawk. Thanks a lot. Now, I think my favorite part of Player of the Week is getting to see a weekly eating gift featuring Andrew Homan. He joins me now live from the newsroom, and it looks like you've put that food down so you can give us this week's top tweets, Andrew.
Justin, I feel like I should have some popcorn instead of this pizza because some of our games turned into a show tonight. Sheridan's upset over Maysville caught my eyes, and it caught the eyes of Jake Harper too. He tweeted, "Wow, okay Sheridan, I see you. The Generals are must-see on Friday nights, especially in 2 weeks when they take on Tri-Valley." Our second tweet this week is a locker room shot from Fairfield Union, who upset Amanda Clear Creek on the Falcons' homecoming night. Ray Petros and his team sure looked excited because they got that dub. And after so many upsets tonight, you won't want to miss our power ranking videos that come out every Wednesday. Then come back on Thursday for our game previews. With everything on our website, you'll be even more excited for Friday nights. Which is why it would be a shame if you couldn't see our show. But don't worry, that's what our YouTube stream is for. The link will be posted on our website and Twitter leading up to the show so that you end your Fridays on the great note. And Justin, I know we still have a whole lot of ground to cover, so I'll toss it back to you.
Coming into the season, thanks a lot, Andrew. Now, coming into the season, the Nelsonville York Buckeyes were thought to be the team to beat in the TVC Ohio, but a 1-4 start has proved otherwise. This week, they squared off with the conference's top team in the Meigs Marauders. Michael Drapcho joins me now. And Michael, you were in Pomeroy to see if NY could slow down this Meigs team.
Well, as you mentioned, Justin, the Buckeyes expected to be where the Marauders are at this point, but a new offensive system and some turmoil in the locker room has hurt them. If they were going to get things turned around, though, it would have to start this week against Meigs. And Meigs came out of the locker room knowing that NY was desperate, knowing they had nothing to lose, but they still couldn't stop them early. Hunter Edwards can't find anyone, so he takes it himself, runs through a tackle, and picks up 17 yards, takes it down to the 5-yard line. Saw a lot of Edwards calling his own number in the first quarter, but Colt Yinger punches it in 2 plays later from the 3-yard line. That makes it 7-0 NY, and then things got worse for Meigs on their ensuing possession. Forced a punt, and the punt is blocked, and NY recovers that in the end zone. That makes it 14-0 Buckeyes, but things started to shift towards Meigs' direction in the second quarter. Cody Bartram can't find anybody, so he calls his own number. Finally picks up Meigs' first down of the game later in the drive. Caleb Sheets takes the handoff. Looks like he's got nowhere to go. And then all of a sudden, there he is on the outside with nothing but green in front of him for the 33-yard touchdown. That makes it 14-6. And then late in the first half, Hunter Edwards looking for somebody, but he can't find anyone. And then Weston Kelly gets to him and forces the fumble. And there is Cody Bartram, scoops it up, and he is off to the races for a 54-yard touchdown. That makes it 14-12. That play really flipped the momentum in Meigs' favor, and they went on to win 32-14, Justin.
So NY came out strong and had the lead at halftime, but how did Meigs come back in the second half?
Well, like I said, the game's momentum really flipped on that scoop and score from Cody Bartram, and the Marauders took that momentum and carried it over to the second half. They hit on a couple big plays with a 45-yard touchdown from Lane Collins and a 35-yard touchdown from Colton Lilly. Meigs has made a living off big plays all season, and tonight was really no different.
Well, what was Nelsonville York doing in the first half that worked for them?
Well, Alex Mount missed tonight's game because of an injury, and Noah Andrews is no longer with the team because of a disciplinary issue. So without 2 of their top 3 playmakers, they had to lean on Hunter Edwards big time, and he responded. A lot of the time, Meigs lined up on defense knowing that Edwards was going to keep it himself, and they still couldn't stop him. Before he coughed it up on that fumble, Edwards carried it 6 times for 47 yards on that drive alone. And then he had 16 carries for 74 yards in the first half. Because of the rain, it was difficult to pass, but that certainly didn't slow him down at all on the ground.
Well, Meigs wins again, even though NY put up a good fight. As always, Michael, thanks for the great work. Now it's that time of the week for our Snapchats of the week. Our first one comes from Belpre running back Tajay Reams, who caps it with, "About to be a big game at homecoming this week." And he was right as the Golden Eagles picked up that victory. And our second pick comes from the Jackson Ironman, who sent it before the game with the caption, "Long ride to Warren, #Glory15. It took the Ironman an hour and 22 minutes to get there, but I'm sure it was a fun ride back after they shut out Warren 41-0. As the weeks roll on, the top plays keep getting better and better, and tonight the players raise the bar yet again. Now let's get it started at number 3. Jordan Leisure gets the handoff, and he doesn't have to worry about breaking a single tackle. His linemen clear the way for him, and he takes it all the way up the right sideline, 64 yards to the end zone, but that would be the only touchdown for Amanda Clear Creek as they lost 13-6. Now, to top play number 2. This one comes from Trimble game against Hama tonight. The White Falcons punted away, and it looks like no one is going to get to it until Cameron Curry takes it off the bounce, and he gone. That should look familiar because Curry had a punt return touchdown last week, and Trimble wins big. And here it is, our top play. This one comes from our game of the week. Hunter Edwards is trying to find someone downfield, but Weston Kelly knocks the ball out, and look who's there to pick it up. Cody Bartram gets the scoop, and you know what's next. He gone. Megs wins again, 32-14. Another week is in the books. There are only 4 more games left in the season, and it's all conference action from here on out. And here's a look at the games we'll be at next week.
The TVC Hawking remains to be Tremble's to lose after the Tomcats beat both Miller and Belpre. But when the Falcons take on the Golden Eagles, a spot in this year's playoffs may be on the line. And speaking of 2 teams gunning for the playoffs, we have the Alexander Spartans traveling to River Valley. The Spartans look to keep their top spot in the TVC Ohio, but the Raiders have other plans to steal away a win and continue their impressive season. We'll also have 2 more TVC Ohio games for extra points, starting with Athens and Meigs. A win over Meigs would push Athens back to the top of the conference, but that's easier said than done against this fierce Marauders team. Plus, the Wellston Rockets play host to Nelsonville York. For our last extra points matchup, the Bloom Carroll Bulldogs will play Amanda Clear Creek, and over in the MVL, the Sheridan Generals hit the road to face off against Philo.
But that's not the only action we have. Jackson and Logan. Last year, the Ironmen routed Logan 42-7 at home on their way to an undefeated season. And this year, the Chieftains are the ones looking to stay unbeaten and want to return their favor when they play Jackson at home next week.
One of the beautiful things about football is everybody knows when a football game. It's every single Friday night.
October 9th just won't be any Friday night. Jackson versus Logan. The game that could potentially decide the SEOAL. One thing that's for sure,
well, it'll be a war.
Jackson head coach Andy Hall knows mistakes won't go past him.
In a game of this magnitude, turnovers can get you beat.
Logan this year, they have proven their battle in the SEOAL. But with the reputation Jackson established last year,
showcase game maybe in the league up to this point, and we go up there this year. It should be a hard-fought battle, and we're excited about the opportunity.
The questions: can Logan stop the running trio of Jackson, and can Jackson's offense just keep up?
McBride and Little are the big offensive threats, and they have a great running game with McBride, and of course Little can throw it.
One thing that's for sure, it will not be one to miss.
I don't have to worry about missing that one because I'll be there for Fan of the Week next week. Now, the end of the season will be here before you know it, so make sure you tweet at us with who you think deserves to be a finalist for our Player of the Year. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.